What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Today, we have another return guest, a fantastic actress, fresh from the Old Vic stage in Machinal by Sophie Treadwell. She's also appeared in Midsummer Nights Dream at the RSC, Chernobyl, Romeo and Julie. Hence, I said Romeo last time. It was actually Romeo the whole time. An actress who's done so much and fresh from the stage, and what was truly a powerhouse performance of this year, one of the most highlights of the theatre scene in London this year. It's a big welcome back to Rosie Sheehy. Rosie, thanks so much for coming back.
Oh my God, what a lovely introduction. Thank you so much. That was so gorgeous of you.
No, it's all you.
Wow.
It's all you, Rosie. That's what.
Whoa, wow. I think I would love one of them every time I wake up in the morning. Oh my God, I'd leap out of bed.
It's all right. You can just soundbite that and just play it if you want every day. But
That's what I'm going to do. That'll be my alarm.
yeah,
Your
that's
lovely
great.
voice.
Oh, you're very kind. You're very kind.
But thank you for having me. Thank
No,
you.
no,
It's really
it's an
lovely
honor
to
to
be
have you.
back.
No, it's an honor to have you back, Rosie. I mean, as soon as we finished last time, I just thought, wow, I've got to get Rosie back. I've got to get her back on. And, because we last time we talked about Romeo and Julie, which I saw at the National, which was incredible. And since you have been at the RSC, of course, I said Midsummer Night's Dream, and of course, fresh from the Old Vic in Machinal. And of course, we'll get onto that in just a second. But as the first question for a return guest is, how have you been?
Oh, that's such a lovely question, but also really hard because I would say I've been up and down. I've been up and down, which is like such an actor's life. It's such an actor's journey. Really, really good overall. Of course, very lucky to have played um, both those gorgeous plays since we last spoke. Yeah, I've been busy, but not without challenge, not
Of
without
course.
yeah, those up and downs, emotional up and downs. But I'm all right. I'm doing really well, thank
Good.
you. I'm
Good.
very happy. I'm all right.
No, yeah, of course. No, I say that because, I saw you in Mackinac, which was just, it was a yeah, really inspiring performance from yourself. And I suppose without further ado, let's jump straight in. So, for anyone who's unaware of it or didn't see the show, we might touch on a few spoilers today, so just letting you know now. Mackinac is by Sophie Treadwell. And it's a true crime story about Ruth Snyder, who in the play is known as the young woman. Is that correct?
Yes. Eventually, she gets named in about scene five, and scene six, as Helen Jones.
Hmm.
But up until then, yeah, young woman.
Mm. Yeah, so it's based on Ruth Snyder, who in 19 it's a from 1928, and essentially at its heart, it's a story about someone who's pushed to their breaking point. And for anyone who doesn't know the story, Ruth planned to murder her husband Albert with her lover Henry Jude Gray. Albert was a fiend of a man. He was abusive. He blamed Ruth for the birth of having a boy rather than I've said that wrong. Let me start that again. So Albert was abusive. He blamed Ruth for the birth of a boy rather than a girl, and maintaining their home, assaulting both Ruth and their daughter Lorraine as if he was unsatisfied with something that neither of them could control. And Ruth made 7 attempts to kill him, and the eighth was successful when she beat him to death with a sash weight. If anyone doesn't know, it's like a crowbar or like a big thick iron crowbar. And it was a really inspiring performance from yourself, Rosie. I mean, but we'll get to the nitty gritty in just a second. But how did you find out about the job? Did It was directed by Richard Jones? Did Richard come to you? Did you find out from your agent? Where did it all start?
I was very lucky to have my first job by Richard many years ago, and that was also at the Old Vic. And then, as life goes, there was about 8 years where I didn't hear from him at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, he's the genius, and he was off doing brilliant opera and theatre as he always does, and film as well. But yeah, it was really random. It was last spring. I was just finishing Romeo and Julie, and I got a phone call off him saying, "Look, there's this play. I don't know if you know it, but would you like to play the young woman?" So really rare. It was a straight offer. Um, but he'd seen Oleana, something I did like 4 years ago, I think. Um, and I think, yeah, I'd obviously thought maybe there's something in that Rosie can bring to this. But it was such a gorgeous surprise because I hadn't spoken to him for such a long time. I was so thrilled not to have to audition because I hate them. I
Yeah.
hate them. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth of that.
Um,
Yeah, and how do you audition with something like The Young Woman? You know, those monologues are so stream of consciousness, gobbledygook. You know, it's so hard to be as an actor, like by yourself in your room or wherever, trying to sort of prepare something like that. So I'm very grateful for the trust
mm,
from him from the off.
yeah. Well,
But it,
yeah, well, he
go on,
recognized.
sorry.
Yeah, no, no, he recognized something, and your performance stuck with him for 8 years, and then this opportunity came up, and yes, Rosie's my girl. I want her to play the role.
Yeah, it was so sweet of him. It was really, yeah, it was an honor. It was
Yeah,
because he is the best.
yeah.
I
What was
think
the
he's one
show?
of our best.
What was the show? The original one at the Old Vic you worked on 8 years ago.
The original one was the Harry Eight, which again was it was a Eugene O'Neill play, but again it was American expressionism. That's the kind of the genre we're working in both of them.
Mm,
Which I think Richard nails. He just nails that as a concept. Um, so yeah, and then he saw Oleana, which I think was sort of in 2021 or something, or 2020. So yeah,
mm.
it was like we worked with each other then years passed, and I think he sort of saw that and remembered me, I guess.
Oh, he clearly
Um,
did.
yeah, but it was and it was an immediate yes from me because I'd actually seen the play performed at Guildhall. When I was a student, they I went by myself one night to watch the Guildhall students do it.
Mm,
And I didn't know what I was going into. I just thought, oh wow, let's have a look, see what other drama schools are doing. Whilst we're all in third year kind of vibe. And I was just blown away. Except in their production, 8 women played her. Um, yeah, eight
yeah,
separate women played her. And I remember thinking then, I must have been about 20. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what a part. So when he
yeah,
said it on the phone, I went, oh my God, it's an absolute yes. I'm in. I'm
yeah.
in because this is a brilliant gift to an actress.
Yeah, yeah, of course. To sort of describe this performance as physical would be, I think, an understatement more than anything. You were up, down, sideways movement, vocally, you were just full of, like you mentioned that word expressionism there. I mean, you were expressing just on all cylinders, left, right, and center about because this woman, yeah, the young woman, as it's called in the play, is actually, like I said, Ruth Snyder. It's a commentary on just like how just that it's almost like that boiling like desire from deep down inside, and that I get when I say that, it reminds me a little bit of the Scottish play, that desire for in Macbeth's case it's desire to be the king, but in her it's like a desire for justice, and the only way she feels like she can get justice is by killing her husband, her abusive husband, by the way. So how did you find the young woman? Who is she to you?
There's, I'm not saying that I'm like her,
Yeah, and of
but
course.
I had great empathy for her um, on many levels. I'm not saying Ruth Snyder was anyway correct. You can't go and murder people. You know, you have to
No.
you have to sort of get a real grip on that. But I I'm a young woman as well, living in London, in this day and age. And again, I guess, yeah, I feel the patriarchy. I feel I get irritated, but even from sensory things, like the young woman, the first thing we meet of her is that she's on the tube. You know, I've had days on the tube where I'm completely claustrophobic and overwhelmed, and
Mm.
it's too hot. And I've gone, why the heck do I live in London? Oh my God, everything is so expensive. And oh my God, how am I still doing this? Like, you know, 10 years later or whatever. And it's about like unlocking those things. And it's the same, that horrible guilt if you've ever had an office job, or if you've ever had it when you're I'm acting, when I turn up to a rehearsal and you're like 5 minutes late, or you're like 3 minutes late, or and you're kind of like, oh, the overground didn't come quick enough, but nobody really wants to hear the excuse. The excuse is you're late, and the kind of the embarrassment and the guilt and I eat myself up inside about that if I'm late to a rehearsal. Nobody's like told me off even. And I sort of get into my whole, I'm like, oh my God, in a turmoil about it. So
Mm.
like all those kind of, I'd say before we reach the stage of the postnatal depression, I never had a baby, but I really understood it. I really understood it on lots of levels. I've been in, again, jobs, acting and non-acting, where there's gossip. There's gossip in the office, and there's people talking about you, or there's, people being mean about other people, or feeling that you can't keep up with fashion
Mm.
or whatever the hot topic is that they're discussing. It's all of that kind of mental drainingness that isn't just female, but it's everyone. You can see her as not an every woman, but an every man as well. At the
Mm.
beginning, it's like somebody who's really trying to survive in a society that's too quick, it's too loud, it's too fast. She can't keep up with the trends in that office scene. She doesn't know what she's doing, and also her machine doesn't work. So can somebody just fix the machine, because then she'd be better. It's yeah, I love it, that first scene. Somebody says, "Oh, she's artistic," and it's like, yeah, she probably is. She shouldn't be in a number crunching. She's not spreadsheets and statistics.
Yeah.
She should be painting, or she should be doing something else. It's like you're watching somebody's soul unable to sit in an office.
Yeah. It reminds me, I have a, I'm going to say this word, even though it makes me really just, oof. I hate the phrase when someone says proper job. Oof.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so
And me. It
yeah,
hurts, doesn't it? It does
oh,
hurt. Yeah.
Christ, it hurts. Anyway, we got that out of the way. No, but it's no, but it's really like a good thing because like you say, someone who's trapped in a job which they don't like, they'd rather be doing something else.
Yeah.
But the arts job doesn't give as much as this one in order to survive. So but
Hmm.
that's just like one string of it. All yeah, and I never thought about that. It's all like compartmentalized, isn't it? Everything all sort of surrounded in this big bubble and this big bubble of just like jitteriness all the time,
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And so and the way you explored that, I think the way you portrayed it, you had a lot of movement to do. You were incredibly physical throughout
Thank
this
you.
thing. And so what was it like sort of preparing those roles or rehearsing that sort of the movement of the young woman every night?
Well, we didn't have in Bath. We originally did it at the Euston of in Bath last year. We didn't have a lot of rehearsal time.
Okay.
So we had an incredible movement director called Sarah Fahy, who works with Richard a lot. And we really started with those monologues. There's one at the end of scene one, and then there's the end of scene four, when she's in the hospital. Um, and on the page, they're just like a big block of words with dashes in between. So there's not a lot of clues about how to deliver them or how to act them even. Um, and it's amazing writing. It's a bit like Beckett, and she came before Beckett, so she was so ahead of her time. But it's like you get this sudden like flurry of words, and you think, okay, well, how do we make this interesting? And the first one after the office, we decided to put movements to each word. So it took me so long to get my head around it and to make sure brain was working at the same time as the physical action and getting it, keeping the speed up and all that. It's like a lot of practice and getting it wrong. Um, but we talked to each word, and we'd be like, right, so this word is hurry, for example. So how can we, and then out of that came these movements like with my hands, which were like being like pushed along a corridor, or like hurry to get out of the house to get to work. Um, and so from that kind of exploration came the physical. And then you sort of take that and you go, well, this is how this person thinks, moves. This is how she's got to be through the whole thing. So yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
was the starting point.
Yeah, and also just like the vocal demands as well, because you had a lot of just like vocally, not only was it a physical expression, but it's also like a big, like there were moments where you just simply just howled, you were just like, and they're just out there,
Yeah.
because to show like the like vocalizing that inner turmoil in a way, and sometimes both at the same time, both vocally and physically.
Yeah.
And so for such like a demanding role, which it was, I suppose one of the questions I had for you today was like, how do you sort of take care of yourself like throughout this? Because anyone who's seen the play would know that, it was 110% every single night or afternoon, sometimes a Wednesday and a Saturday, twice on
Thank you,
both those
Oliver.
days. I get an image of you just getting back to your house or something on a Saturday or Wednesday night going, fucking hell, boom, and just like, yeah,
Yeah, by the end of the week, I would be, yeah, like a strange kind of tired. It's like it's a fatigue like no other. You almost feel a bit drunk.
yeah,
Um, you're like, wow, okay, it's time to just, yeah, as you said, flop on the bed. Um, but yeah, lots of routine. Yeah, I guess you could call it self-care routine, although for me it was like as soon as I'd get home, I would just get straight in the bath, spent a lot of time in the bath and watched, reality TV really, or anything that made me yeah, switch off, I
yeah.
guess. And I yeah, much to my embarrassment, I love reality TV. So but yeah, as we were talking about earlier, lots of like obviously a warm-up routine, a warm down routine, making sure that my voice was in good shape for the next day, and physically as well,
Mm,
and having to really stick to those routines,
yeah.
that kind of rigor.
Yeah, you mentioned also about how, you had a vocal coach and you had a bit of a strange vocal routine, both obviously before you did the warm up, but then you had it afterwards as well. It was like they said to you, okay, when you come off stage, just don't talk for 10 minutes. What? Just
Yeah,
don't talk.
yeah,
No noise. 10 minutes. And then
I
steam.
know.
And then another 10 minutes. And there's like, and then you're not allowed
Yeah.
to talk to anyone. What was that like?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's so difficult because obviously people are wanting to leave the building and people are knocking the door to, maybe to give you notes or to take your costume or to make sure you got, come in and make sure your washing is done for the next day or whatever, which is incredible. And of course, I just had to sort of tell everyone, I should be really honest and just be like, look, I'm not being weird. I'm not being rude. If you knock the door, I'll come and I'll open it, but I can't speak. Um, because yeah, I'd have to come off after just doing a big old scream. I'd have to come off and then I'd have to do these like sirens, as you start
Yeah.
high and then you siren down, do a few of them, um, and then maybe a vocal fry, that kind of that grudge sound, like you do a bit of that for a bit, and then be silent. Um, and of course it's so hard because like I had loads of gorgeous mates in and my friends and family and um who were there at stage door, like, oh, please come down. We want to give you a hug. That looked like a lot. And I'd be like, well, actually, I just had to text so many people and be like, look, if I just have to stick to this because otherwise, what am I doing? Otherwise, we're not doing it right. And if we're not doing it, if I'm not sticking to the routine, then it doesn't work. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
No alcohol, no coffee.
No alcohol, no coffee. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, 3 liters of water a day.
Jesus. I don't know about you, but like I can't function without for like the first coffee of the day. Suddenly,
Yeah,
like you drink it, and I was like, okay, I'm me again. And then, but then
I
after that,
know.
if you miss it, like I'm just like, oh God, what day is it today? It's Tuesday. What? It's
Yeah,
Tuesday. What? It's fucking Tuesday. And you're like,
it's
so,
Tuesday.
you're like, oh, I'm sorry. But
I know.
it
I
happens,
know.
yeah,
But then you think there was like one time where I thought, right, I am so tired. I'm gonna take a Pro Plus. Remember those Pro Plus tablets that you could get?
yeah,
Like we used to take them in school. Um, really foolishly, I took one of them. Um, and it was like, no, never again.
yeah.
Don't do that. Because I was awake. I mean, I was totally like, phew, right, okay, I'm back. Like after a coffee.
Oh
But
God,
then to go on and then to jangle. I mean, my nerves were jangling anyway, doing that play. So
yeah,
it was just like, no, too much.
yeah.
Too much.
That was
I
it.
remember once I was going to buy a Powerade, one of those like or like a drink
Oh
of Lucozade, and
no.
then I was like, no, don't do it. It's really not worth it.
Yeah, because they're not great for your voice either, are they?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. You're like, yeah, you're trying to win one way, but
Yeah, and I think that's a really
it
good
doesn't
commentary.
serve you.
Yeah, I think that's a good commentary on just how some people, they do jobs and they, like this one, like in a play where it's vocally demanding. But I think a lot of musical theatre people say the same thing, that they avoid things like dairy, chocolate, coffee, that sort of thing, because it makes you all kind of,
Hmm.
you can't get the
Yeah.
voice right or something. But yeah, but it's a, it's a big communal effort to get this thing up on its feet, not only collectively as a company, but also like for yourself, and just how you deliver that every night. And again, the second part of this sort of line of questioning is, yeah, I mean, how are you after all that? What's it like letting go of a role like that?
There's an element of relief. I'm
Yeah,
not going to lie,
yeah, of course.
a lot of people, bless them, would ask things like, "Oh God, are you going to be sad to see it go?" And I really was, because I'd done a lot of work, a lot of prep for it, and I'd really thought about it, and you know, I was really proud of the work, but that we'd made as a company. But there is a notion of like, how long can we do this?
Yeah,
Like, how long does, you know, one live like this? So yeah,
yeah,
letting go is hard, and it's really sad. And now I do kind of go like, well, what's next? What else will I do on stage? And you have to sort of let it go, so you can go, okay, this is going to be something completely different next time, or this is going to be something completely new, and it might not be as um it might not be
yeah,
as face to the, yeah, I don't even know how to describe it, but it might not be as big or as expressive or as whatever, but you've got to say goodbye to it. But as well as that, there was a relief. There was like a, because I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't want to miss shows. I didn't want to yeah, not be well enough to do anything, or lose my voice, or
mm,
yeah, just I didn't want to royally mess it up. And you feel a duty to a brilliant ensemble of actors, an incredible creative team,
mm,
as well. You're like, God. And I was so proud that we transferred from Bath. So there was a lot of like, and I'm doing it to myself. Nobody's making me feel like that. But I just didn't want to let anyone down. That was really on my mind quite a
mm.
lot.
I'm sure.
But well, thanks. But
Yeah,
I just, that wanting to like be mentally and vocally and physically, strong. I just didn't want to, yeah, get it wrong, I guess.
mm,
So letting go, I'm fine. I'm all right now.
good.
It took a few weeks, I guess. To the week after, I was sort of walking around a bit like, God, what is my life now? And then I went on holiday with some friends, which was really, really good for my soul, and really joyful.
You recharge, recharge.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not very good at stopping. I'm not going to lie. I'm quite bad at I sort of fear the break sometimes, or I fear the holiday.
Mm.
Um, but I guess some actors do. Most actors do, because it's like, oh God, will I ever work again? It's that horrible.
Yeah,
Like, what's the purpose now? Um, but that's something I've got to get my head around
yeah, yeah.
and
Hey,
get better at.
we're all in the same boat, Rosie.
Yeah.
I'm in that as well. I'm in a bit of a dry spell at the moment, but you just got to keep the faith that yeah, something's going to happen. Something will happen. It
Yeah.
will happen, of
Yeah.
course. And it's good to have things like this show and talking to yourself, about your experiences, and it's great.
This is
Um,
incredible. It's
yeah,
incredible you do this, Oliver. It really is.
oh, thank you. That's very you're
It
amazing,
is.
Rosie. Thank you. So yeah, I remember the do you remember the interview you did for the old? I think it was the Old Vic website when
Okay.
yeah, and you talked about how like I think we've briefly touched on it anyway, but how this character just it speaks to well what I took from it anyway, but and it's just in the interview, it speaks to something that's resonating in all of us. Her values, like the way that her actions and everything. I'm not saying we're all murdering psychopaths, by the way, but
Uh-huh.
but that need, that desire, that need for just justice to be done, and feeling that frustration and that physical frustration of things, like you did with your movement and everything. How the qualities of this character speaks to all of us in some way.
Yeah.
Would that be, does my memory serve me correctly?
Yeah. Well, in the interview, I was sort of saying that we can all relate.
Yeah.
And yeah, oh my God, absolutely, we can. It's there's lots of the play's about everything. Sometimes I think it's about poverty. It's about not reaching your full potential. It's about wanting to be free in your body and your choices and to be authentically yourself, which of course women back in 1923 didn't have,
Yeah.
and yet it was kind of painted that they did because there was the flapper girl kind of short hair, allowed to be boyish, Charleston dancing and very free and and then there's the prohibition. We're in New York, where alcohol's illegal, yet it's still happening underground, and like there's gangsters and there's crime through the roof, and there's illegal things happening, and yet we were watching someone who isn't a part of that, hasn't got access to liquor or to because of religion, because of um or I mean, religion isn't a massive part of the play, but that scene with her and her mum, it's you can kind of see the arrested development that's happened because she's not allowed out of the house, or
Mm.
she has to work, she has to give her wage to her mum because there's a duty of care there, um, and therefore there's no leisure time. She's getting the tube to work, working long hours, getting the tube home, giving her wage for them to live, and then that's pretty much it. And we're meeting her at a point where it's like she's of an age where which is ridiculous, but she's getting too old for she's getting on, so she better get married soon. And in that, yeah, she has that speech where she's like, "Oh God, I gotta get married." That's what everyone does. Most women, all women, get
Mm.
married. And if I don't, when this cycle of my life right now, when's that going to end?
Mm. It's like a commentary on what, society in inverted commas says that this is what you got to do. It's like a checklist in a way. You've got to be married by 30, you've got to have two kids by 35, you've got to have a stable job from the age of 18 or 20 up until you fucking die. And then
Yeah,
just it's like you get up, you go to work, you come home, you eat, you go to bed, and you do it again. Oh, how long do you do that for? Oh, for the rest of your life. So I say the next 60
yeah,
years. And it's like,
yeah,
no, no,
yeah, yeah,
no. It's such a toxic thing. I could talk about that for ages, but it's just,
yeah. And we still have it now. There's still a
yeah,
worry. There's still an anxiety of like, oh, why am I not where, the norm is or whatever. And it's like, fuck the
yeah.
norm. Like, what is the, and it takes courage, I think, to break away from that, those forces, those societal kind of pressures that somehow are upon us.
Yeah, it's almost like the energy of society as well. Like, I don't know if you've walked down like through um as well, like Leicester Square or Piccadilly Circus, and you see everyone. It's like it's like a lot of things on Facebook call it like the rat race and stuff.
Uh,
You see everyone like with their suits on, their headphones, the phone, or the AirPods. It's just everyone's walking in the same direction, everyone's going the other way, and it's almost
yeah.
like this energy of you've got to work, you've got to work, you've got to work, you've got to work, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. And I think
Yeah.
and I mentioned that because I think that's very present in her, going off what you just said there about how she feels all this tension from society, particularly in 1920s as well. I think by that point the women had the vote, didn't they, in the
I think so.
1920s? Yeah,
Yes.
because Emily, oh, I'm going to get her name wrong. Was it Pankhurst who stood in front of the King's Horse? I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Pankhurst who stood in front of the King's Horse in 1918, I think.
Or
Okay,
was
well,
that Emily Davison?
Emily Davis. No, Emily and Pankhurst was somebody else. I think she was a pilot. Wait, I'm gonna Google this. Hang on, and get my facts right.
I
Uh,
know.
yeah,
But this is, I mean, I should know this. This
yeah,
should be.
Pankhurst. There's people probably listening to this going, no, no, no. Yeah, yes, Emily Pankhurst. She was a British political activist, and yeah, helping British women getting the right to vote. She died on the 14th of June, 1928, in
Emily
Hampstead.
Davison stood in front of the horse. I've got it here.
Yeah. Oh, Emily Davidson stood in front of a horse. Okay, thank you. Right.
The King's Horse. Oh my
So how did
God.
Emily Pankhurst? Oh God, this is turning into a history lesson now. Uh, Emily Pankhurst. How did she die? She don't. I feel like Joe Rogan. This is what Joe Rogan does. He just takes a break and just looks up facts. Campaign. Yeah. Anyway, look. Okay. So that wasn't the one who stood in front of the horse. So I got my facts wrong there. Anyway, so
Wow,
yeah. Sorry to any
facts.
historians listening to this. But anyway, so yeah, by that point they had the vote, and then that was a big thing. But then after that, it was still very much a male-dominated society where they called the shots and everything. And I think another thing you mentioned there was going down into the speakeasies. You've got this image that everything's all right on the surface. We are clean. Yeah, underneath it's really, really not. And I think it's like a delving into the psyche of Ruth Snyder as well, to say that on the surface she may be okay, but deep down she's really, really,
Really
really
not.
not.
I
Yeah.
love that prohibition scene because everything in the scene is that they talk about even is illegal. So there's a couple that are planning to have an abortion. Abortion was illegal at the time.
Okay.
I'm there to have an affair or to seek, some sexual pleasure, and that
Mm.
again, that obviously adultery was illegal at the time. And then also, there's the young man. He's there and he's talking about having killed somebody where he's been previously. And then, of course, there's a gay couple that are stood on the other side, and they're flirting. And again, it was illegal to be gay at the time as well. So I
Mm.
just love that scene because it's so clever.
Yeah.
Because even the place they're in is illegal. The speakeasy shouldn't be there, and yet every topic they're talking about as well. Like it was a place to go and discuss things
Yeah.
which were illegal,
Yeah.
illicit.
It's like everything illegal was made legal, sorry, in this room. Everyone was allowed to be themselves in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
so society wants you to obey rules and not be yourself as well, which I think was another common theme throughout it as well. I mean,
God, yeah.
it covers so many things. I wouldn't be surprised if she was like a massive influence. You mentioned Beckett earlier as well about how he looked on the world as well, and how he wrote Waiting for Godot and Endgame and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and which, by the way, I'm really excited for Waiting for Godot, which is coming up later this year as well.
I know. I can't wait.
Have you got your
They're
ticket?
just too great. I need to book them, but I keep
Yeah,
looking at posters of it, and I keep going, "Oh my God,
yeah,
Lucy Masmati and Ben Whishaw are just I think they're the greats."
yeah. They really are. Yeah, let's do a quick plug and go see Waiting for Godot, guys. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's going to be great.
do.
So, yeah, so I suppose ultimately, what was it like? The journey that you had from Bath, and then you had a little break going to the Old Vic. What was your personal experience of playing the young woman or slash Ruth Snyder throughout that whole period?
I found doing it a second time round became we had 1 week's rehearsal to sort of get it back up on its feet, and then we were open. So there was no time to sort of, I change things, or I would, by osmosis allow things to sort of get better, or yeah, explore different things as the run went on. But as I said, we didn't have much. We had a week, so it was like
Yeah,
bish bash bosh, let's get it up kind of thing. Whereas in Bath, I had a lot more time to, yeah, ponder on the emotional experience of her, and I did lots of research as well, which eventually by the Old Vic I sort of stopped delving into because I did a lot of research on emotional abuse, narcissistic abuse,
mm,
um, domestic abuse, uh, yeah, which coercive control, all those kind of things. Um, and there's a point where you go, gosh, I need to stop. I need to sort of put those down because
yeah,
they were so upsetting.
mm,
And I was sort of carrying it home with me a bit. But it's a brilliant feeling when when you've done a run or something and you can come back to it because the kind of the groundwork is there, and you can allow everything else to just sort of happen because it's in you somewhere. And
mm,
and a big thing of it is trusting that it's still all there.
yeah,
Whereas a bit of me was kept going back to the books, kept going back to the research, um, when actually, yeah, of learning to sort of trust that that's in there and let it go.
yeah. And that's a very good actor point you made there. Just trust, yeah, and it's all there. And it's a big word I've probably talked about on previous episodes as well. It's just trusting yourself that that you can deliver this, that you can deliver this 8 times a week. You can go to those limits and still feel after you've been like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm still okay. I'm still in one piece. I'm still
Yeah.
fine, and everything else. Few sacrifices, of course, no alcohol, steaming, 16 times a week, but but ultimately, and I think, yeah, and the reaction to this was incredible. You had so many people just commenting on just the lengths that you went to and everything. And I suppose the next question really is, what has she given you, and what has she left behind?
She's given me a voice, actually. I didn't think I'd be able to answer that as quickly as I just did, but she's given me yeah, sorry, I got a bit emotional then. She still gave me, I'm not very assertive normally in my own life, and actually it gave me, she sort of forced me to become more forthright and more, you know, have a better ability to just go, hey, I'm not okay with X, Y, and Z, whatever that may be. Or actually, can we, can I do that a bit differently? Or, yeah, as a young woman going about London, just to have, well, to have self-compassion as
Yeah,
well. That was a big thing
of
that
course.
I guess she taught me, because you can always feel like you're like getting it wrong, or you're not quick enough, or you're not keeping up with whatever.
Mm.
Um, and so actually, yeah, but and I play such amazing women on stage. I play such women with like brilliant opinions, or sort of these fierce, amazing women who stand up for themselves. And actually, in my real life, I can sort of whimper around a bit, or I can kind of, I don't whimper around, but you know what I mean. I can get a little bit like, I'm sort of really laid back, but to the point of, or I'm not laid back. I just allow sort of things which I'm really not actually okay with happen, and you know, um yeah, as I hate that word boundaries. Everyone seems to be sort of saying, well, I just set a boundary, but it's true,
Yeah,
having the confidence to just go, actually, hey, uh no, I'm not going to do that, or I don't want to be around them for whatever reason in my actual real life, so I'm not going to go, or I'm not going to come, or not doing things just because they're easy to go along with, or they please other people, I guess.
mm.
I probably sound horrible, but I'm not. But
No,
it's
no,
that it's kind of
not
going,
at all.
God, I don't want to get on the tube for an hour to go to a party to then get back on the tube. It's like, oh
But
my
for a
God, it's,
party,
yeah, or for whatever, wherever. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
why
yeah,
do you're like, okay, do I really want to get on the tube and do that? Or do I really want to?
yeah. God, you get on the tube at rush hour. The district line's terrible. Yeah, you get on there. There's people everywhere, and then like one train comes by, and it's all full. Another train comes by, and it's full. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it is,
yeah,
and you're all cramming to get on.
yeah,
Um, she's left behind as well, I'd say, like a greater awareness about, which I think is they're all brilliant lessons for all women to learn about emotional abuse, about, yeah, what are the signs, what's not okay, and what, how to be treated sort of really brilliantly by a romantic partner and a friendship, and whoever, and your mum, and your, as we
yeah,
explore in the play really early on, that scene with the mum is
yeah,
it's
yeah,
cracking, but it's crackers as well, um,
yeah. On every level.
on every level. So yeah, a reflection on those relationships, and what's okay and what's not okay, what's healthy and what isn't.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, there's, many layers to it there, how I found it really inspiring that she gave you like a confidence which maybe that was there, maybe was there before, but you weren't aware of, but maybe wasn't there at all. But she's given you that. She's given you that
Yeah,
assertiveness to everything. And I remember someone saying to me once, every part gives you something and takes something away from your own life in a way.
wow. And
Yeah,
take something away.
yeah, yeah,
God, I don't know what she's taken away. Hmm. She required a lot of stamina. Maybe
yeah,
she took away whilst I was playing it. I didn't have much of a life,
yeah,
socially.
yeah,
And maybe that's it. God, that's such a good I guess a really nice way to view. whatever role you're playing, they give you something. They
Yeah,
also do take something away. You
yeah.
definitely learn something from everything.
Oh, yeah,
Everything.
absolutely. Yeah, like again, you saying you learn how did she giving you that assertiveness? You know that with that it's that confidence and everything to sort of no, I'm not getting on the tube. I don't want to today. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like whatever's going to make you sensory feel uncomfortable. I do
Mm,
this thing now where I used to wear like my headphones everywhere, as you said, like blasting music whilst I'm like walking down the street. And sometimes I think, God, just take the music out, like stop the sensory overload, put your phone down for a bit, like
yeah.
stop. It's all stimulation so much. So
Mm,
just give it a break because no wonder you're irritated, Rosie, or no wonder you're like exhausted by the end of the day. It's like everything is a lot.
mm,
And I suppose she just taught me to go, hey, actually, just listen to the actual natural sounds around you. Stop
mm,
blaring music
yeah.
whilst you're on a noisy tube at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it helps to not listen to other people's BS, but at the same time,
Hey,
yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially on a crowded tube. But then once you get out there and you get into, I don't know, Hyde Park or Central Park or wherever it is, New York or London or wherever you are, just yeah, just take a second just to enjoy the piece because I feel like that was one thing. You know, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that was one thing she was missing was peace within herself and with society. You know, and as again you mentioned 1920s prohibition, illegal to be this, illegal to be that, illegal to cheat on your husband, even though he's a complete knob, but you still got to stay with
Yeah,
him, you know. But all
yeah,
these things, and she just wants peace to be ultimately, I think, her true self in a way, you know, have that peace to say,
yeah,
I'm not gonna be what you want me to be anymore, you know, which was to have someone or someone try, just even trying is more than enough. To try and take that away from you is it should be a crime. I don't know.
it's where
Yeah.
well emotional abuse is a crime now. You know,
Oh
coercive
yeah, of
control
course.
is a
Of
crime.
course. Yeah.
But you're right, there was no she isn't at peace. It's incredibly sad, and of course people feel that still today. There are people
Yeah.
who aren't at peace, and that people's mental health is suffering. And
Mm,
but yeah, in the final scene, she said the priest. She's in the cage. She's in the jail cell. And the
mm,
priest says to her, "What?" She says, I was seeking something. I was always seeking something." And he says, "Well, what? What were you seeking?" And she says, "Peace, rest, and peace." Um,
mm.
yeah, you're perfectly right. It's peace with yourself and it's peace with your circumstances
Yeah. I
and
agree.
rest.
And
I suppose
rest.
what we were just talking about when I was going, oh God, you know, I have to take my headphones out. It's rest. It's like calm, actual tranquility and
Yeah.
actual calmness. It's
Yeah.
we really need it as human beings.
Yeah. It's like when you go to the beach, like just by yourself and you just sit there and just listen to everything. That
Yeah,
is if you need a way to recharge, guys, that's definitely the way to do it. A lot of you probably know this already, but just enjoy the freedom. I think another message there is like enjoy the freedom that we have now. You know, you can be whoever you want to be. You can identify in any way that you want to and find that as long as you're not doing bad to others, just enjoy the peace and enjoy being yourself. And I think
yeah.
she's definitely part of that movie. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe, Pankhurst or sorry, what was the lady who jumped from the horse again? I've forgotten the name already.
Emily Davison.
Emily Davison, thank you, who was probably an inspiration for Sophie Treadwell when she was writing to sort of say, this is what us women have done. We are helping leading a world in a male dominated way, but we're breaking through that. So yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's it.
Yeah. But anyway,
God.
that's God, there's so many big topics there. This
I
is
know we have.
this
We
is
have.
fantastic. But yeah, I think we'll just bring that sort of area of this conversation to a close now, and just because I know it was a lot for you, Rose. I know you poured your heart and soul out 8 times a
Thank
week,
you.
and
Thank
I
you
was
so much.
yeah, and like I was lucky to see it, and yeah, you really deserve all the accolades you got from that. You were tremendous, and I'm glad to say that I saw one of the best performances this year, and everything in between. So
Oh,
yeah,
Oliver, thank you.
fantastic. So anyway, on a lighter note, so since we last spoke, I saw that you did Midsummer Night's Dream at the RSC playing the Merry Wanderer of the Night, Puck, which is a complete contrast to
Oh,
Machinal.
heck yeah.
So, what was it like playing Puck, RSC stage, Stratford upon Avon,
Mhm.
the world in the palm of your hand, and you being that little mischievous Puck, putting the elixir or liquid of life into the eyes of the lovers and fucking the whole story up?
I absolutely loved it. Although I must admit, I had a short break. I had a week's break, and then we finished Machinal, and I immediately went into pack rehearsals, and I was useless. I was so bad
Huh?
in that rehearsal room because I just couldn't. It was like because it was such the complete end of the spectrum. It was like, wow, now you have to be a hobgoblin, or now like let the young woman go. Now you have to be a pixie, a fairy, a merry wanderer of the night, or and suddenly you're like, what? Oh my God, qualities like lightness, mischievousness, silliness. And then we had this incredible magician on board, John Bulliard. He's done Harry Potter and lots of incredible productions, an illusionist. So he was wanting to bring real magic into the show, and I had to learn some magic tricks. So suddenly there was like sleight of hand, which I loved because I am a physical performer and I do sort of grab onto that as a way in. But oh my God, was it a jump and was it a real change for me? And I guess it's not what I'm comfortable with as a norm or as like a genre. I would much prefer to be in a tragedy than a comedy. So it was a real stretch
Oh,
for
really?
me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I find that it comes easily. The tone of it all comes easily to me. I'm terrified that people won't find Puck funny, or I guess there's a pressure as well because it's such an iconic character. Like people will go, "Oh my God, you're playing Puck! Like, what are you going to do with it?" Because it's kind of a blank slate,
Yeah.
which is a gift. But then as an actor, you're like, God, I've really got to make some choices here. But the
Mm.
team at the RSC and the director Eleanor Road were fantastic, so brilliant. The inspiration that they all came with already. We sort of had a production where the fairies were like electric light bulbs. So
Okay.
everything, so that energy, the way they like moved around the space was like bolts of electricity. Um, so that was great because my puck was kind of manic. A lot of people said that he looked like, or they looked like, uh, the Joker from Batman.
Mm.
I had like this sort of like blue greeny wig on, and I
Yeah.
drew a big smile across my face,
Well,
and it was all a
Heath
bit.
Ledger's one.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
And I could do this dance. I had to perform this dance in the middle of it, like a sort of a Gene Kelly tap routine gone wrong, but just in boots. It wasn't in tap shoes. But and I haven't danced for so long. Like it was such a challenge. It was really exposing, when you go, oh my God, I'm gonna have to really move with
Mm.
some ease here. But I watched over and over the Whacking Phoenix Joker, when he dances down the stairs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it's that horrible Gary Glitter track that's playing in
Yeah.
the background, and you can't
Yeah.
believe they're allowed to even play that track. But the movement in that he does is very like it's Gene Kelly on, or yeah, Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. It's got that kind of gracefulness about it, but it's kind of broken. Like it's sort of great gracefulness that's left.
Mm.
Um, so I watched that clip so much.
Yeah.
God, Whacking Phoenix is incredible and beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so stuff like that, I was sort of pulling on like a manic kind of darkness. And I did lots of research on like real fairies, like in Irish culture.
Mm.
Um, there's lots of yeah, the belief that the fairies were there for a purpose and that people still believe in them today. Um, and you don't, but there's a darkness to it. Like you don't want to mess with that those forces. I love that. I love that idea that there are that real fairies who aren't Disney princess or Fantasia Disney fairies that we might know, that they're creatures who you should take really seriously. You don't want to mess with them because they'll punish you.
Mm.
So when he comes and he like there's a real darkness when he comes and he has that elixir and he gets it wrong, Well, he doesn't mean to get it wrong. Oberon tells him what to do, and then he stumbles upon the Athenians, the people he's described, but they're just the wrong pair. Um, so Puck actually sets out to just follow his rules. He's a real loyal servant, actually,
Oh yeah,
until the mistake is made. Um, there's a darkness in that. Like he's kind of roofing them, or he's kind of
yeah,
drugging them to fall in love with the next thing that they see. Like yeah, there's a real, like, what is it that he puts in their eyes? You know,
yeah,
is it like a date rape thing? Is it you can go as like horrendous with it as you want. Our production wasn't very, very dark, but I tried to make Puck, not all good.
mm. Because he's not all good, is he? He's the reason why that the lovers completely fall in love with the wrong person. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, well,
yeah,
the person that you wouldn't expect them to, Lysander falling in love with Bottom when he's been turned into a donkey. It's just,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And the belief that Puck can never leave Oberon as well. That was something I was really interested in.
yeah,
And actually, his interest in human beings comes from really wanting to be a human. Again, I made all this stuff up, but that the fairies in that play are forever. They actually can't die. They're a
yeah,
bit like Peter Pan, or they're a bit like, actually they don't grow up.
mm,
Like they stay as they are forever, and they watch the mortal world from above, or
that's,
with jealousy, or with a kind of like, God, wouldn't it be nice to have a finite existence? Because then I'd feel something. Like Puck hasn't got a love interest. Puck hasn't got the only relationship he does have is with Oberon, which is a servile relationship in which there's like he gets punished. He
mm,
gets like really punished for getting the wrong lovers and getting it wrong. And um yeah.
mm,
So there's lots of layers to it. Like how dark can you be? How light can you be? Um, but and at the end, Titania and Oberon go off together, and there's Puck that's left at the end by himself to
yeah.
finish the play, to end the play, to close it. But also, it's like, where does he go? What does he do?
What does he get up to next?
Yeah,
What other relationships does he fuck up next?
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. What else? What other elixirs does he have? Does he have more than love elixirs? Does he have
yeah,
hate elixirs? Some tricksy elixirs? Maybe one of them, but like Harry Potter, where he drenches it on someone and they become invisible.
yeah.
I don't
Oh my
know.
God,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who knows?
We
These are
had
fairies. They've got every anecdote, every possibility to
that's it.
fuck with the mortal world. Uh, yeah. God, that's a whole other conversation, really.
I know, it is.
Yeah.
But that whole kind of Gene Kelly quote, not the Gene Kelly quote, sorry, the video of
Fucking
Joaquin
Phoenix. Yeah.
Phoenix being Gene Kelly as he's coming down the stairs. I thought that really fixed or suited what I was trying to do. Because there's a something in the Joker, I think, that's not on the edge of society, but really wanting to be like other human beings, but not fitting in, and
Oh,
you
massively.
know,
Yeah.
and I really thought there was a lot of that in Bach. That he just wanted to be like the lovers. He was fascinated by them, um,
Mm,
and turning Bottom into a donkey just for a laugh. But there's a
yeah.
kind of like but why? Oh, like he watches the mechanicals and he goes, oh, this is the one that's annoying. This is the one that deserves this punishment. But that fascination, you have to be fascinated in humans to be that, to
Yeah.
do something like that, I think.
Yeah. I never heard Puck described in that way before. That's great.
Oh, fat. Well, maybe
Yeah.
I might have got it completely wrong. And I might
Oh,
have,
it's.
maybe
I
it
want to see
was,
this Puck now. I hope there's a recording of it somewhere in the RSC files or something. Yeah.
I think there is. Yeah, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll look it up.
but thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God,
thanks
he's
for saying that.
no, you've got an incredible way of describing characters, Rosie. I remember last time we talked about the because you did the whale in Bath as well, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because I remember you talking about Ellie and For anyone who doesn't know the play, it's reinforced the film with Brendan Fraser, which he won the Oscar for, which was amazing, amazing performance. And Rosie played Ellie, his daughter, who rebels against him at first. And I remember asking you if she forgave him towards the end, and I think your assumption was that, well, what you took from it was that she did, and yeah, it just reminded me of the way you describe characters. The way you describe Puck there is just, yeah, you've got a very good way of describing people, Rosie.
Thanks, Oliver. That's
Yeah,
so nice of you to say. Because, well, that's what being an actor is. It's your own interpretation of it, isn't it? And
yeah, massively.
that it can either go very wrong or it can kind of work.
Yeah,
But
and just think about,
she,
because that, because I think Puck, I'm sure he has a line where he says pluck, right?
yes,
Yeah, or that kind of light, kind of plucking nature, or just dropping stuff into people's eyes or something.
uh-huh,
You talk about
yeah.
the lightness of it. I'm just reminded of one of my last few episodes was with Kay Godfrey. He was actually at the RSC. She was like the voice
Oh, wow.
coach.
I love
Yeah,
her.
yeah. We did a Shakespeare dissection on a previous episode, which was great. And so big shout out to her. And she talks about how the word pluck, or just that action of just like the lightness, I think it's a big common theme in Shakespeare, I think. And yeah, I mean, with Puck, he's kind of pluck, lightness, dream, state, floating. He's all of that just completely in one thing, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yet
yeah.
someone so light yet causes such heavy damage. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, and impish and can cause as you said, damage that can sort of slash and be quite mean and flick and all those larbing efforts, But there's
yeah,
also like a horrible ringing, or there's a press or a yeah. He can be any of those.
yeah.
That's so
Like a
that's so
thrust,
amazing that word pluck. Yeah,
like a thrust where he puts it in and then, right, off you go.
yeah,
Enjoy the madness. And it's like, no, no, his character going. And then you sort of see it from the outside in. You see, how can this lady, this queen of the fairies, fall in love with an ass?
I know.
What's going on there? And then well, Puck's just in the background, probably doing this.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah. So how did you? I'm just very aware of the time. I know you got to shoot off in a bit, Rosie.
Okay.
But it's just I suppose really, who is Rosie? You've talked about Puck already, but by the end of the run, who did you feel like this character, what's Rosie Sheehy's Puck exactly? Like, what did you take at the end of the run?
Somebody who, um, what I learned was that you don't have to play somebody who has high stakes all the time in their life. You can play somebody who it's not costing them to cause disaster,
Hmm.
and they can live in that disaster and it doesn't have to hurt them. Um, and even in our production, there was a sort of a question of like, will Puck ever love anybody? No, they won't, and that's fine. They're absolutely fine by themselves, and of course, there are people like that in society, and that's perfectly fine.
Hmm.
Um, but as an actor, I think I went into it like reaching for the drama or for the cost or for the stakes or for the and actually Puck doesn't have any. He takes the audience on the journey of the play. He gets it wrong, but it's not this great, it is complex, but it's not this great Greek tragedy. It's a comedy, of course, but I think I learned so much that Puck is incredible. He's fine by himself, and not a lot will phase him. Like it actually won't. Like you may think it will, but it won't. It won't
Yeah,
phase him. It's like water off a duck's back.
yeah. He's done this before. He can do it again.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
and
This is
he's
not.
fine by himself.
Yeah, he's not all this stuff. He's not new to this. He's good at it as well. Just
Yeah.
yeah. God, we could do like a whole conversation about Park. This would be great. I suppose, yeah. God, I want to look. I want to try and find your park. I would love to see it. I absolutely love to. Yeah,
Oh,
that'd be great. But I suppose really, I mean, what's if you can say like what's next for you? Have you got anything lined up? Or you just Just like
Uh,
waiting to hear.
I'm waiting to hear on lots of lovely things. There's something happening next year, but I can't talk about it yet because
Sure.
it's not released. But yeah, I can't wait for what I get up to. Just waiting to see what the next thing is and
Yeah,
what's right, what feels right.
of course. I can't wait to see it. I've just got two more questions for you, Rosie. I
Yeah,
know we are pushed for time, but I just got two more things
don't
for you.
worry.
Um, I'm not sure if I asked you this last time, so forgive me if I did. What would you say was a bit of advice that you'd heard right at the beginning of your career? Like, so you've just left RADA, you're out in the business. What would you say was a bit of advice you wish you heard then that you know now?
Um, oh, a few things. I wish I'd heard that enjoy those moments, those early moments in your career, even though they're really difficult, because and maybe I could have been a bit braver with my choices um, as an actor, because and even what I chose to end up doing and what I chose to yeah be involved in. I think there's a the piece of advice would be braver because actually you're so young and you can run free and you haven't got responsibility. Responsibility comes in your real life when you get older, um, you know, and even though those early years are very difficult for lots and lots and lots of reasons,
Yeah,
um, actually they're when you can be the most not picky, but you can afford to go, actually, no, I'm gonna stay available and see what else comes down the line. Um, Rather than tying myself up all the time in things that, that's it's no shade to the things I did back then, but I sort of left drama school with the notion that I had to always be working as an actor, and if I was doing another job, as you said, like a not an acting job, then I was failing. And I wish I'd sort of been kinder to myself and gone, actually, no, it's
yeah,
fine for you to go and do that, but just and wait for what feels right, like properly right. Um, in your early life. And again, and then your relationship to that changes because as you get older, you have more responsibility, and there's things you want to achieve as an older person. Um, yeah, I think that's my advice because sometimes people say to young actors, just keep going, that's true. You have to sort of weigh it
yeah,
up. You want to sort of stay in the mix all the time and stay busy,
yeah,
but
of
at the
course.
same time, you can't just say yes to everything.
No,
You know.
no. Yeah, I remember a previous episode I did with Claire Loy, who's an Irish actress. She talked about just saying no. I know in your early
Yeah.
years, if you say no to things, it's like, yeah, but if I say no, I'm not going to get any jobs and no one's going to know who I am. It's well,
Yeah.
actually, no. Sometimes if it costs you too much financially, emotionally, mental health wise, and you're not
Yeah.
getting anything out of it, it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
And knowing that by saying no in your early years doesn't mean you're not going to have a successful career because, if anyone tells you otherwise, it's just lying. So,
Yeah.
because I think everything happens at the right reason, and also you want to do a job that you actually enjoy doing rather than just kind of saying yes to everything and you know, doing stuff which you're not happy doing, and
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. No, I know that from experience. Uh, but I suppose we've all been there, haven't we? Both
Yeah, we
actors
have.
and in
We
real
have. And
life.
it's a lesson to learn. It's a lesson to it's yeah, you have to sort of do it, get
Yeah,
it, make the mistake to learn it.
yeah, yeah. Life's all about mistakes. Mistakes are good. Mistakes are good. They might
Yeah.
not be nice at the time, but they
Yeah.
do. In the long run, you're like, oh, thank God I did that because actually it steered me to where you are now. And of course, we go through life, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, not to sound too philosophical, um, but and then just finally today, but just before we get on to that, Rosie, thank you so much for today. It's been an absolute joy talking to you again, and
Oh,
I've really really enjoyed it. I still have so much more to ask you. I mean, we'll get you. I'd love to have you back on again in the future.
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and seeing
I
what
love it.
what further work you do coming forward. It's going to be great. I mean, I'd love to talk to you more about Anne in Richard III as well, but unfortunately, we don't have time for that
Oh
today.
yeah.
But we will get on to that next time. We'll get on to that next time. So finally, today, this is like a new kind of finish of questions for part two episodes. Um, what makes you happy?
Oh, that's such a like all your questions is hard. Um, I don't want to say acting, even though it does, because I think you have to have a happy life around it and be secure in who you are and you know, who you hang around with and who you spend your life with
Mm,
to have a happy existence in order to go and do your job and be play parts like the young woman in Machinal. It wouldn't be possible, I don't think. I love my friends. My friends make me incredibly happy. My family, um, I don't see them enough. But whenever I'm with them, my heart sings. I just think, oh God, yeah, this is what it's all about.
mm,
Um, what makes me happy? Oh my God. I love taking dance class on a Thursday in
mm,
Shoreditch. I do this like house class. It's so much fun.
yeah.
And I just come out like walking on air. I love going to watch contemporary dance at Sadler's Wells. I love Hofesh Schechter. I love French film. I love French cinema. Um, yeah. Does that answer your
Of
question?
course.
Those things make me happy,
Great. Yeah.
as well as acting, as
Yeah.
well as acting.
Of
But
course it does.
I love,
It's your
yeah.
question. It's your answer. Whatever the answer is, as long as it makes you happy, it's great.
Oh, thank you, Oliver.
Brilliant.
I hope that was, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Of
I
course.
love, I love just all those things.
Mm,
Yeah.
brilliant. Oh, there you have it. Brilliant. Rosie, thank you so much. I've absolutely loved talking to you again and seeing you live again, in Machinal. Of course, Romeo and Julie will always have a fond. Well, it was one of my best nights in the theatre on both occasions. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, and yeah, I don't know what else to say really. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, Rosie, thank you so much for your time, and yeah, I look forward to continuing this conversation in the future about what else you get up to. So, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast, and I'll be back very, very soon. So if you just hang on, Rosie, I'll finish the recording, and we'll have a little debrief. But yeah, thank you again, guys. Really appreciate it. Rosie, just wow, I'm lost for
Thank
words.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me. Thank you for listening.